So, welcome to the Millbrook Railroad, and normally I get things in service before they break. I didn't even have this in service yet, and the inserts got ripped out.
Hi.
Anyway, so I guess the inserts aren't going to work.
For those viewing, I'd like to add that it was lined for the straight, nothing went up the turntable lead, and the point rail that broke was this one. So I still have no idea how.
He who did not read the daily operations bulletin.
He who did not post the daily operations bulletin.
That's beside the point. There, I just BNSF'd you.
No!
Anyway, I gotta fix this now. So, I guess what I'll do is, some of you viewers made some good suggestions. I think a couple of you said, why don't you just why don't you just thread the aluminum bar? And that's, in hindsight, it's a good idea, but I didn't think about it at the time. I just thought, hey, wait a minute, I've got these inserts. Well, guess what? I'm going to tap these, and I'm going to add another throw bar. I think I've got the other throw bar here somewhere. So
You did bring it out. I don't know
it
where
is.
you set it.
It is somewhere around, and who knows? Maybe I should try Loctite on that, but I'm thinking not. I'm thinking instead I'm just going to take this all out. It's going to surprise everybody too with a new throw that I was going to get, but it hasn't left the dock yet. I use dock in quotes, but there's a special throw that's going to be used on this switch, so stay tuned for that. But let's go fix this. Alrighty, I've cut a new piece of aluminum here that's same length as this one, or close enough. And I'm going to make the holes in this basically where the old ones were. We're going to make them smaller. Guess I'll have to do this one after. You know what? That one's shifted over too much. So as long as I have it in basically the same distance from the other one, I'm going to do that right there. Okay. Now I've got a tap and drill set here for a 440 screw. This is a number something or other drill. I don't know. I don't care. I think it might be a letter drill. There are letter drills, there are number drills, there are fraction drills, there are decimal drills, there are metric drills. Confused yet? Welcome to my world, where we can't just stick to one measurement system, we have to have 6. So, anyway, okay, there we go. Drill the hole. I'm going to make all the machinists out there, or people who think they're machinists, cringe. I'm going to power tap. I'm going to power tap without coolant. There we go. Look at that, and it didn't break. Alright, just got to deburr the back side here, but that's no big deal. We can do that after. First, I have to line that up. I'm going to line this up with this screw here. I have this screw that I just took out of that. I'm going to send it through that threaded part and this threaded part we go. Now I can hopefully make an arc. Which one is it? It is that one. So we'll pick the middle right there. Take that screw out. Now it's time to drill and tap again. That scare you yet? Did me. For a second I thought I broke the drill. Thankfully I didn't, but it wouldn't have been the end of the world if I did. I have others. Alrighty, now we'll get the tap in the chuck. Guess I'll put it on slow speed this time. Go, all tapped. So this one will be mounted here. I'll just start assembling the points assembly right here while I'm at it, right? I mean, why not? And I am going to put a spreader bar here this time. I'm going to cut a new one. Or maybe I'll just use this one. I thought about sinking some Loctite in these connections. You know, it seems I can push this out with my fingers. I think I'll try Loctite. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? It'll pull out. Yeah. Loctite 680 should work well for this. So let's just tap this out ever so gently somehow without bending the aluminum itself. Let's move this aside. I'm going to use these pliers as kind of a jig to protect. Oh, there we go. Right there, just like that. There. And it even catches the part, as you can see. Should have done that when I put them in. Alright, I'll grab some Loctite 680. Now, all you who looked at this and said that there would be corrosion. There certainly can be corrosion. You're absolutely right on that. But with the size of the brass that I've got here and the size of the aluminum that I've got right here, the electrical potential is actually pretty low. It has more potential to just pull apart like it did, like the other one did. So what I will do is, I gotta put that aside over there. So what I will do is I will hammer this into place ever so carefully and with a hammer. Now that will cure, and that will form a protective coating that'll keep moisture out, and it will also keep this bond area here from corroding, because the Loctite 680 forms a form of insulation in there. And also, it forms a mechanical bond at the same time, much stronger than just the friction of the parts just pressed together. So Loctite 680 it is. And again, I'm only doing this on just this one throw rod. Or not, this isn't a throw rod, this is a spreader bar. So just on this one bar. And now we'll soak up the excess that is trying to bugger up the threads. So we don't want this stuff on the threads. Loctite 680 is retaining compound, not thread locker. And it will take about 250 to 300 degrees Fahrenheit to release the retaining compound. And I'm okay with the switches not falling apart, but I want them to come apart when I want them to come apart, so I don't want to catch the ties on fire in the process. So we're going to try that, these inserts, and maybe I should try the inserts with this piece here, but I definitely wanted this one here threaded. I think it was a good idea for this part here. So I must sally forth. Forge ahead. Yeah, something like that. So I think, let's see if this insert, this is one of the ones I ground down. So I wonder, should I try that? You know what, I think what I'm going to do on this particular one is I'm just going to scrap it and try again. I cut another piece. Or maybe this piece is big enough. You know what, this piece might be big enough, I can use it. Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. First, I will recycle the threaded insert, because I can recycle these. Let's see, maybe I'll abuse my punch. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to try this again. I'm going to use this piece here to try it again. So I think I can do this by, yeah, I can do this. So I'll put a hole here, or a center punch here. Yeah. I'll put the center punch over here. That should line up with the centers of those holes. We're kind of close enough anyway. So I'm going to drill and tap these holes and we'll see where we're at. Always remember to remove the tap from the drill if you're tapping with a hand drill. Because if the drill does a nosedive, your tap is done. Alright, time to deburr. Got this little deburring tool here. Should go in a drill, but I don't need to go that many turns to deburr this. Good enough done by hand. There we go. I'll do this end too. Alright, so that is this end of the switch points. I had it all lined up before I moved it. We're over a hole. It's an important thing when you're drilling a piece on a welding table. Make sure you're over a hole. Let's see, that's roughly the middle. The other two didn't matter. There we go. The drill wobbleth. It's an awful lot of wobble. I might have bent it. Yeah, that drill is... It's a cheap drill, so... Well, they bend easy. Alright. Alright, so here we are. This is the switch point assembly with the rear spreader bar, the middle spreader bar, the front spreader bar. I guess it's called a spreader bar. Gauge bar? I don't know. Anyway, holds the gauge of the switch points. Basically acts like ties for the switch points. Kind of necessary piece of equipment to have. And I think I'm going to have to put some thread lock around these because That one just loosened up, so, well, one more thing to do. Now for this I'm using thread locker 242, Loctite 242, the blue thread locker, because it's what I got. And why did I get that one? Well, because it said thread locker on it, that's why. So, I'm going to do this one at a time, I think, maybe? I don't know. Let me just slide this, do it as gingerly as possible, least destructive as possible, something like that, anyway. The most finesse I can muster. Well, that's not much finesse right there at all, because I completely missed the hole with the screw. There we go. All right, thread locker. That will dry and cure in, well, it'll dry in probably 10 minutes. It'll cure within 24 hours, just like the Loctite 680. Let's get the drill out of the way, get these tools out of the way, and get this over here within camera view. All right, move this over here. Let's just move this camera around. All right, that's much better. Now you guys can see what I'm doing, and I can work on the bench instead of half off it. So there we go. There's some more thread locker, and it just poured all over the welding table. Class act. But I think enough got in the hole and stayed in there that that it might stay on the threads. Yeah, the threads are pretty well covered in it. All right. So I'll screw this in place. And because it's not retaining compound, I'm not worried about it not moving when I want it to move. If this were retaining compound, it would be a completely different story. I don't know, am I supposed to put the thread locker on the threads, or am I supposed to put the thread locker in the hole on the internal threads? I don't know. I'm doing it this way right now. Dab the excess off of the back. At least the stuff that's gonna, you know, fall off. Alright, now we'll get the other end of this middle one. Just kind of doing them one at a time. Then I'll have to clean up my area. Alright. Dab in there. Oh, I completely missed the hole again. There. That gets the excess out of there, and there's still some in the hole that I can grab with the threads. Assuming I don't move the threads out of the way of the screw threads. There we go. Dab the excess off. And now it's the last set. This one's already starting to come loose. I'm just going to do both sides of this one. Little dabble, do you? I don't know what commercial that was from. It was before my time, but the phrase is memorable anyway. Back when Madison Avenue knew what they were doing. I'm gonna grab a shorter one. Stainless steel one, that'll work better, I think. I hope. Probably doesn't matter. As long as it doesn't back off, that's all I really care. There we go. Make sure I strip it for good measure. Okay. Need to have it flex a little bit anyway, otherwise I won't be able to throw it. So there we go. Switch point assembly reassembled. Now it's ready to go out on the switch. I hope. Sweep that off onto the floor, and I'll catch it when I sweep the floor off later. This end's not hot. Not yet, anyway. I'm going to bend it back just a little bit. There we go. A throw rod. Now I got to hurry up here. It's starting to get dark out and it's raining, so let's install these switch points. Clearly, I did not measure very well when I did this throw rod here. Either that, or these pieces moved. I suspect it might be the latter because it's been banged. So I'm going to have to hammer this back into shape. But for right now, I'm going to put this switch back together. This is going to be a temporary throw for right now, so that way when Eric comes through, he's not going to rip the points out of the switch again. All right, I'm going to have to get a couple more screws. All right, there we go. Quick switch repair. It only took a couple of hours. Let's give it a test. Okay, well, moment of truth. First, we'll see if 70 makes it up the grade with this. Has struggled to get this far. And we'll see if it gets across the switch. Actually, we'll disconnect her from the train. That's probably a better idea. There we go. I'd say that worked pretty good. Let's come back this way. We'll try the other direction on the switch. Mind you, that's without any guardrails on the switch. It did that pretty well. Not terrible. There are adjustments that need to be made on the frog, but we knew that already. I need to put some flangeways in here, basically a kind of a guard in the frog. The other half of the flangeway, anyway, the part that'll hold on to the tread of the wheel. So, well, let's put the 70 in the shed or in the shop, I guess. I gotta bring that other flat car on the other end there. I'm gonna bring that in. So, well, let's go grab that. Wait a minute. Before I do that, I have to move this whole consist down. It's gonna be hard to move because it's like 70 at capacity. And I mean locomotive number 70 at capacity. Oops. You would think that that'd still be lined, you know? Guess not. Alright. Let's see, where's this gate? Right here. Alright. Back off. And I'll put the skate right in here. There we go. Gotta watch your fingers when you do that. Alright, now I'll go get the flat car and bring it up and put it inside. Oh, split the switch. Clearly there is something wrong here. Probably how the other switch got broke. Throw rod no longer in its keeper. Maybe I should have actually thrown the switch. Yeah, I need to do work to that frog too. I'll deal with it eventually. You know, I turned the camera off and had the engine follow me. And that's right when it decides it's going to come off on a spot in the switch here. Eric said something about derailing here. Of course, he didn't bother fixing the joint that got kicked over. All right, I got to grab a hammer and fix this one now. Wow. I don't know what I can do for that. Yeah, I gotta replace those joint bars now. That's been mangled pretty bad. And it's raining. And the operating department went home and they're inside and warm. I'm out here working out in the rain. Sound familiar, all you track guys? Doesn't matter what gauge it is. I gotta find something else. How about a coupler shim? A standard gauge coupler shim. That ought to do it. Well, that's better than it was. I'll take that. That's better. All right, here's my favorite thing about spring switches. So before you go through them, you can do this. Line this one up. And go up here. And line this one up. I'm going to have to do some work on soon. I'm going to replace this switch throw with a switch stand at some point here. I have the parts, I just have to machine them. All right, now let's watch the magic of spring switches in action. You heard them snap. That's how you know you're through the switch. And back down through here. Ever so carefully. Oh, switch point derailed me that time. I'm gonna have to take a look at the gauge there. be the gauge of the engine too. Well, here we go. Off to the shop. Ever so carefully. Because remember, there's no guardrail against that frog. Yeah, and it just caught us. It's getting dark. I'll have to put a guardrail on that frog, something I was always going to do anyway. One thing at a time though, right? Very carefully onto the turntable. I have to shore up this side of the tie wall. There we go. All you gotta do is rub it down after the end of a wet run and it's good. We're gonna leave it in here and let it charge tonight. And I guess tomorrow we'll actually put it in the engine house. So anyway, that's a couple hours of track work. All right, 3 hours of track work. Short day, I guess, after a day at work. Anyway, so yeah, this is wet too. But the only thing that's not wet is the camera. Well, I'm late for dinner, so I want to thank you for watching today's video. If you did enjoy it, hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe, patreon.com/MillbrookRailroad, and we'll catch you in the next video.